Okay, today's 3/15/2017, and we're looking for the spring turn of the year, or what the globalist Satanists call the equinox in their pagan calendar. Anyway, I don't know if you can see the shadow. It's about 11:30 if you don't do the time change. Right now it's actually 12:30 because they did the spring forward hour thing. But as far as the sun and the heavens go, it's about 11:30, and you can see the line right here, this east-west line right here, this north, and that's right there, and then the north-south line that's aiming at Polaris is right here. So yesterday I put a mark there. It was very hard to see because there's a lot of chemtrailing going on. They were spraying and the whole sky became hazy, so it was very difficult to try to mark. I couldn't get it on the metal dial that I've already shown you. But anyway, in about I think about 40 minutes, this X will be right there in the center, and I'll make a mark. That's for day on 3/15, and they're saying it should happen on the 20th of March. And what I'm counting out, it kind of looks like it'll happen on the 19th like it did last year. So that'll be an interesting thing after going through a leap year, because we started this stuff in earnest 4 years ago. I was incorrect about my dating and a brother and my wife. I said yesterday we've only been at 2-3 years. I've been doing it 4 years. So anyway, I set this dial up today. All I did was just, you can see this old wooden table here. I just took a piece of plywood and screwed it down, and then I nailed this framing, it's not a framing, but this spike into here, and I cut the top off and then kind of angled it. I didn't mean to do that, but it kind of angled it here to give a sharper tip. And all I'm doing is marking. You can do it as many times as you want, but you're seeing this ruler here. It's perpendicular pretty much, but no matter what, you can see that there's a curve going on. So, and it'll go like this. I want to show you that. That's the new thing I just set up to try to confirm as well. This is actually the most accurate way, in my opinion, to do it. It's just like having a staff in your hand. You stick it in the ground. It doesn't even have to be straight. As long as you stick it in the ground, it stays in the same position around this time. Which you'd have a sense of when it comes time and you stick your staff in the ground. There are holes carved in rocks all over the world to where people would come and they'd just stick a staff in the ground around these times so they could watch the shadows. And of course, then they had the marks already marked out on the rocks themselves too, so they just watch it like a clock. Just in case you were wondering, on the previous video I was doing marks on the wall here, but the past couple days we've had in the mountains here, you'll have clouds to the east, and then an hour and a half or 2 hours after the sun rises, then you'll be able to get a shadow. The other mark that we were looking at, and then what I've seen on this is that this line is just going to get fatter and fatter. So you need something like a nail. I mean, we can mark this every day to the day, and if you use that nail, that's the most accurate way, like I say, and easiest. Then on that day, I'm just going to keep adding thickness, and it'll be on this outside edge where the shadow from this railing will show. This one that's approaching as we get closer to noon, this edge of this shadow will be on the edge of that mark, and you make the line a little fatter and thicker, but it doesn't really tell you exactly what day the equinox is. You could just keep marking the deck up and paint it black all the way to the corner. So you need something like that nail that I just set up on the board, a staff in your hand, really simple. I'm just going to go ahead and show you real quick. This is real simple. I try to get to the same spot every time, and we've just moved a little bit. We're still, like I say, about 30 minutes from solar noon. So I'm just going to mark it in a dot right at the end of the shadow there, and you can see how it continues to curve. And like I say, on the day of the equinoxes, you'll have a straight line you'll be able to draw with a straight edge like that, and of course you could see that with your eyes too. Like a buddy of mine who's real good at woodworking and metal shop stuff says the human eye is the most accurate ruler. So Imagine that. Okay, again, this is 3/15/2017. We're looking for the spring turn with these sundials, and we'll see the X get in the middle here. But that east-west line, this one here, that one there is tells you where it's at today. You can go within an hour each side of this, and that line's still going to be there actually through the day. Even a couple hours ago, that line was still right there in the same spot. So we've got a good idea already. They say it's because of the spring forward, they say it's almost 1, but you know, just according to scripture and the sun and things, it's almost noon. So what's neat about this time of year, these equinoxes, is that at around 6 a.m. For sunrise and sunset, that's what happens. And if you don't change your clock around, you really get a good sense of it. So what I've done with this one, this is the straight line, or the I don't know, nail sundial, whatever you want to call it. And I drew a pencil mark through it so you could better see the curve. When the curve is, when there's no more curve and we can draw a straight line through it, then we're on the right day. And I'll mark it on that dial and the metal dial out there. So we're not too far away. And I want to show you, I was thinking maybe like up here would be solar noon. No, it's going to be, and I already know this, but due north towards the pole star is right over the top of that mountain. And it's gonna adjust just a little bit and be pointing to the top of that peak. This is a 3-foot dial, and since we have a really bright day without any chemtrails or anything, you can see it too. You can see about where it's at right now. And then you remember that, and you look at that. Different size dials, but they're in the approximate same position. This dial was set up for being aimed at the fall position of the pole star, which the pole star makes a little circle in the sky. So this one, when you look at it during this time of year, it doesn't aim up directly, but we don't mess with it. And either one of them, and that one over there was done, and so was this one. It's done for this time of year, for the spring turn. But it doesn't matter either way. We found out last year that for certain that, you know, that this one lands on the proper day as well. But the most accurate, again, is going to be something like that. It's so simple, and it's going to be something like that. So that's why I'm going to mark on these dials, and the metal one out there, I'm going to mark on it, and I'll go ahead and mark a shadow on the wall or the deck or something, you know, like along here. It's like I was saying yesterday or the other day, you know, on the day of the equinox, I'll put a straight line, you know, along the shadow. Right now it's right along the edge of this board, but on the day I'll go ahead and mark it that way, and it's permanent. And then we can see what happens in the fall and in the spring of every year, and look at the matching of all these things. And if there's any wind, there's changes. If it's in our lifetime, there's changes in the heavens and the earth, like scripture says. Well, out of 7 billion people, we're going to be some of the first to ever know it. Shalom, shalom. Okay, here we are again on 3/15/2017, looking for the spring turn. This is our metal dial that we set up last year, and I've aimed it as best I can. Again, when you aim one of these dials, if you do one of these, we've got the free plans on hisplan.net. You know, you're going to look through something like that, and we put a little glow paint on each one of these so you can light it up at night and really aim it really well. So this is 3/15, and you can see the X is in the middle. We have a good bright sunshiny day. Yesterday it was chemtrail-y clouds, hazed over real bad. It would have been sunny, but anyway, there's the new mark for the today for 3/15. This was the 13th. This one up here, this was the 12th. So I'm still thinking that on the 19th it's going to be in the center, not the 20th like they say. This is 12:10 which I just walked away from that other dial. It shows it on that metal ruler because it's a lot wider, but it's 12:10, which has made me curious as to why we're 10-12 minutes off on the actual solar noon witness, even with the clocks that we use. Even if you don't flip your time an hour forward. Right now, actually, at Mountain Standard Time in the United States, here in Colorado, unless you're in Arizona or Hawaii, it's 1:10, and it just messes with you even more. So what we're looking for here again, see, I've made a couple more dots over the past 15-20 minutes, and then at solar noon, when I see it on these other dials, I'll make a final dot. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this straight ruler to go from that dot to the center of this, and that will give you true north of the Earth. Magnetic north, if you use a compass or something like that, in our location, it's called you have a declination, you have an adjustment. So at our location, it's about 14 degrees, but the pole's been changing, so I'm not sure what it is really anymore. But magnetic north will be about over here. True north of the actual Earth and the planet. So if you're using a staff, you can navigate anywhere, and you understand these simple concepts. They really expand, and you can navigate anywhere on the planet, you know, depending on the times and seasons. If he changes the heavens and the earth, well, you can find a better latitudes and longitudes to grow food. I use compasses in real estate to find corner pins on properties and things. And if you use a compass and you think you're going to get somewhere, you ain't going to get there. I mean, in this particular area, yes, you will. But over an extended area, you're going to get into other places to where the magnetic north is a little different, because you're moving, and that angle to that magnetic north when your compass is changing. So, you know, you're always going to be headed towards that magnetic north instead of true north, which you can do without a compass, and just use a staff in the ground. It doesn't matter what magnetic north does, and you'll find the places you can go, and you can grow food or whatever he has intended in mind. It's just real interesting revisiting all these things, and all the things that we've lost, and the sense that we've lost, and the connection with the heavens and the earth. Hallelujah. He says there's knowledge day and night pouring forth from the heavens. So this is one of the reasons why we're doing it. Okay, I just made the final mark. I believe there will be a solar noon, so that gives me an absolute direction which way north is where we're at here. And you can see it, and like I say, the top of that peak is about it at our location, true north, and then magnetic north about 14 degrees, and be about through the middle of those two trees. So it's I'll go ahead and I'm going to pencil this through to that curve, and I'll take some more measurements as long as I can because of this wall. And the 2-foot dial, it's about right in the center. It's a little bit closer to the marks over here. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, here's the metal dial. We just came down. It's about 12:16. You see, it's further past center. Well, it's the same as the other one. It's just the thickness of this ruler is a lot thicker than that dial up there. So we're on mark, and like I say, I marked it right there, and tomorrow it'll be a little bit lower. So that's how I'm able to count out to estimate how many days it'll be to the spring turn of the year, and also the fall turn when we're ready to do that. Hallelujah.